Disclaimer: this episode discusses suicidal ideations and extreme content that may be triggering to some. Listener discretion is advised. You're listening to 8158 Stories of Sacrifice, where we honor the bravery of the first responders and the families who stand behind them. Real people, real stories, real heroes. This is 8158. Welcome back to another episode of 8158 Podcast Stories of Sacrifice. Today's guest, we have paramedic 911. How are you doing today, buddy?
Good. Finally enjoying a day off from work.
That's always a good thing to have a day off of work.
Very much so.
All right. I didn't really get a chance to give you a pre-interview, so this is kind of like a off-the-cuff type of deal. So let's start from the beginning on why you became a medic.
So, oddly enough, EMS wasn't in my future. When I was going to school, I was originally going for criminal and child psychology. My mom had become sick with lung cancer. When we moved out here to North Carolina is when they found it. And so they didn't really give her very long. And getting to see the nurses and the doctors and stuff work with my mom, it was amazing. She actually outlived what they told them or what they told her by 7 years. You can't thank someone enough for that. Essentially, they helped me have longer with my mom. My way of thanking them was going into a career where I could give someone that same ability that I had. Give them that extra time with their loved one, their mom, their sister, their brother. This is my way of thanking them.
That's pretty awesome. I can definitely relate to that. My mother had metastatic lung cancer, and unfortunately, she passed away from that in 2004.
No, I'm so sorry.
I wish there was more that they could do, but unfortunately, once it gets in your system and in your joints and your blood and your bones,
Yeah, it's a rough go for sure.
definitely, definitely. And, kudos for you for getting out there and taking a stand for that because, it's from what I hear, it's not a very easy career. It's not
It
very
is not. The way it's portrayed in TV and movies, it's nothing like it. I had absolutely no medical background going into school. And I can vividly remember the first time I was on the back of the truck during clinicals and going to a stroke call, watching them work was amazing. I knew right then and there I was hooked. And the even wilder part was I saw this person walking around the local Walmart like 3 weeks later.
job well done.
Yeah, it was.
That's pretty awesome. I can only imagine what it feels like to see somebody that you saw in their darkest moments, in their last breaths or in their last moments, just walking around like it never even happened.
It is extremely wild. Like, I don't do it to run lights and sirens, the adrenaline, be fast. I do it because I want to be there in that darkest hour. You know, these were the people that were there for me and my family, and I want to return that. And so getting to see them get that extra time, it's amazing.
Pretty awesome. So going through training, how was that like for you? Was it interesting? Did it pique your interest, like, or did it drive you?
So it
So
was
it
very
was very
interesting.
interesting.
At first,
At
I was
first, I
like,
was
this is
like,
just a
this is
lot of medical talk and legal mumbo jumbo. But once we actually started getting into it, you know, learning how things work, how ailments work, learning how pharmacology affects the body, it was like being engrossed into a really good book. You know, not a lot of things hold my interest. I have severe ADHD. And so this was one of the things that did. My mom was fortunate enough to watch me start my journey and my biggest supporter. So she would be there rooting me when I'd have a hard time with the training and the clinicals. Uh, and so it was really her that helped give me that drive. And just the more I learned, it was amazing to know that you can literally be the difference between life and death and make those decisions in a split second. It's phenomenal.
yeah, that situation that caused you to jump into that profession obviously was very impactful for you. What an amazing moment to see a turnaround. So you took something that was such a negative thing and turned it into something so positive to help those in need. And I thank you for that. That is amazing.
Thank
How
you.
do you
Thank
feel
you.
about that?
It's wild. Like, this has now become my world. I love this job. I don't see myself doing anything else. It still feels weird. I've been doing it 10 years now. When I get that opportunity, when I'm blessed enough to actually save someone and be there, the feeling's better than anything in the world. And it's for the sheer fact that they get to be there with their family.
Yeah, far too often, I imagine you probably don't see that portion of it, but you know it's there. It happens.
Yeah,
You know it's there. Oh man, that's such an amazing thing, and being in somebody's home in that situation, isn't that like some kind of very special moment for you to be in that vulnerable state with them?
it is. They're trusting a complete stranger to come into their home and potentially save their loved one, do everything they can. For me, it is special. At the same time, it's one of the most scariest things. I don't know what I'm walking into. I actually developed an extreme case of hypervigilance due to it, but it is a very special moment knowing, like I said, that they trust you, a stranger, to come in and help their mother, their child, their sister. It's amazing.
Yeah, these people are very vulnerable at this moment, and they're allowing strangers to come into their house to save their loved ones, and you are the one who is there to back them up, to help them in their most darkest days, and I think
It
that's just
is.
an amazing thing.
In that moment, they're lost. They don't know what's going to happen, what to do. They're trusting that me and my partner and other first responders with me can provide the care and, give it to that patient, try to help provide a positive outcome. Um, it's unfortunately sometimes it doesn't end well. And a large part of what we do is stay there with the family. We not only have just our patient, but we have the family members too that wind up being our patients. And so it's a very delicate, sensitive, special situation.
Couldn't even imagine. I remember a long time ago, you know, when I was younger, the medical profession interested me, and I was studying to be an EMT, and I had a learning disability, and it was hard for me to learn. But what I did was when I took the books and I was learning about the physiology and the anatomy of the body, I drew every portion of the body. Like all of the bones and all of the muscle tissues and all of the physiology, like the lungs, the heart, and I put them in color and I marked them out. And that's what helped me learn. I never became uh, an EMT, unfortunately, but I did learn a lot, which was amazing. And I loved it.
Oddly enough, that's how I learned how to do cardiac rhythms. When we got them in school, they were black and white copies. I'm partially colorblind, so I have to sit there and highlight them and color them and write which ones they are. And that's what helped me differentiate on the cardiac strips what's what.
So you're partially colorblind, so it's hard for you to see the rhythms on the monitors, correct?
Yeah, I have to turn the size up really good because I have issues with like red and greens. And unfortunately, that's all cardiac monitors.
Well, obviously you're doing a pretty good job at it and you're still doing it. You're still I mean, after 10 years, obviously if there's something wrong, you wouldn't be doing it anymore, but 10 years you've been doing it and you figured out a way to master the disability of being able to see colors.
Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing. That is so amazing.
It's not been without its challenges the past 10 years. There were some hard times where I was ready to just be done. And unfortunately, it came with those times where the outcomes weren't what I was hoping for. So, I mean, it takes its toll.
So I imagine this is a pretty good segue on to the mental health aspect of the job. I know that a lot of first responders, including law enforcement, fire, EMS, dispatch, corrections, so on and so forth, have their issues with the compounding traumas of the job. How has those traumas affected you on a daily basis?
I wasn't prepared for it. They don't teach you in school. I was literally told by my instructor, this can happen. Don't go home and drink a bottle. Don't go to poo. Don't put a pew pew where it's not supposed to go. And that was the training. I was released into the field to work. I wasn't given like a sit down or a manual. It was like thrown into the deep end of the pool and just started to weigh. They don't tell you how to deal with the negative outcomes. The help isn't readily available as it is for a lot of others, especially in our field. You know, you hear all the time, law enforcement and fire have resources. Hardly ever you hear about resources for EMS. And it's not saying one's worse than the other. It's just we're not shown the avenues like they are. And so it it really bogs you down. I was in a very hard place, not just from the toll of the job, but losing a coworker to self-harm because of the job.
Was your coworker a close friend or close to you or a partner of yours?
All of the above. We actually went through paramedic school together. We'd go to the local bar and do study sessions and play pool. I remember her crawling under the pool table to get us free games. um, I was on shift and got a phone call from another friend. Hey, have you heard from her? I heard from someone else. There's some issues going on down in that part of town. Give her a call, make sure she's okay. Okay, sure. So I call and I call and I call. No answer. Finally, I get a call back from that friend saying she's no longer with us. I didn't know what to do. I thought it was a dream. I went to my best friend's room at the time. She worked with us and like just started pounding on her door. She woke up and I just remember handing her the phone and like sitting on the floor. This is someone none of us would have ever expected. We were all very close. And the sad part is, after this happened, nothing really came about. All of us were extremely impacted, and there was no, hey, let's sit down and talk about this. It was, okay, if you need to go home right now, you can go home, but be back for your shift later. And I also remember going to her memorial in full uniform and then having to go right back to work.
No time to breathe at all. There was no real preparation from the upper echelon of your company down.
No, none at all. And, I made the unfortunate mistake by working in the town where I live. And that was pretty much the start of my downward spiral. Couple months after that, I wound up as the paramedic on my best friend's MVC, where she was the DOA. I recognized the car when I got to scene. Like, I knew it from somewhere, but didn't fully register. I was yelled at, hey, your patient's over here. I go to do my job. I look over and I can see them putting her into the back of another truck. And
And
so
so, got a
later
call
that
later
night.
that night.
Hey, are you
Hey, are
okay?
you okay?
I'm good.
I'm
Why? Ricky, that was so and so that they put in the truck. Same thing. Wound up falling to the ground. Coworker grabbed my phone. That was about the most support that I have is someone grabbing my phone. This was a consecutive pattern for me for about the first 2 years on the job. I had two others, classmates and coworkers, that wound up taking their lives. I left my job because my director had told me, your work has changed since so and so died. Yeah. It wasn't until two really good friends of mine that I worked with, basically like second moms to me, saw the difference. And they were the ones to come up and tell me, you're making a phone call or we're pulling you by your hair there. You have no option.
So the phone call was to get help,
It
pretty much.
was. I made the phone call and I was immediately set up with a facility that does trauma therapy and everything specifically for first responders. They are trained to deal with us and us only. I've been doing this now, going to therapy for 8 years. It has literally saved my life.
So you said 8 years. You've been on a job for 10 years. So all of this happened within a span of 2 years.
Yeah. This
Wow.
month, actually, the second was the anniversary of my coworker who I worked with, the first one where it started. It starts to weigh.
She's the one that kind of started the trickle effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. She didn't start it. It just, that was the first aspect of the trauma of the job.
Yeah. That was the first portion that started for me. I didn't know how to deal with it. I kind of
I
just
kind
like
of just
shoved
like
everything
shoved
down
everything down.
and wouldn't really talk about it. And neither would anyone else. So I thought that's what I was supposed to do and kept going on.
Especially when you start the process of becoming a medic or getting into the field of EMS. They don't train you to deal with the mental health aspect of it. They just tell you to go home, be quiet, don't do this and don't do that. That's not help.
No, it's not. In 10 years, I have been involved in one debrief, and that was for a patient who self deleted. Was literally 5 minutes away. He was talking, alive, breathing on the way. I get there, I see a officer walking out. I said, "Hey, what do I need to grab?" He said, "Nothing. It's done." Okay. So, being the job that I do, we actually have to go in and be like, "Yep, no pulse. They're not breathing, no heartbeat," and confirm it. And that is one of the things that everyone forgets. A lot of them get to walk away. I have to stay there. I have to be the one that makes the phone call to the doctor and be like, "Hey, this is what's going on." And the doctor telling me, "Yeah, call time of death." This one really bothered me. It was someone who was my age at the time. No one could find any information on him. I'm in EMS. I'm nosy as hell. So I went on a hunt. I found an acceptance letter from a college with his name and some other demographic information. Gave it to the officers, and they were like, "Oh, here, do you want to look at the note?" I'm like, "Really?" Yeah. And so the debriefing following, they had dispatch, law enforcement, and me. They brought in outside counselors, the peer support team from the local areas. When it came time for them to ask, if you have trouble or something like that, let us know, stand up, let us know. In a room of about 13 people that I really didn't know, I decided this is my chance, this is my opportunity. When it came my turn, I said, no, I'm not okay. I was having issues where I would go home and drink the adult beverages, not to forget about anything really. But I found when I did that and when I slept, I wouldn't dream. So that was kind of how I was coping with it. And I realized that is not healthy. I need some help. So I was like, I need help. I got brushed off. It was okay. So how did this affect you moving on to the other person? I'd never felt so alone in my life. I remember going home, well, on my way home, and pointing my car towards the front of a river. It was a very rough evening.
You were willing to take the next step to relieving the pain that was going on. You're self-medicating. You're, you know, trying to avoid the feeling of that pain. So now you're on the verge of taking that next step. What's going through your mind at that?
I was alone. They preach, ask for help. When I did, it wasn't there. I'm extremely thankful for the therapist that I have. She actually gave me her personal number and sent her a message, told her what was going on and where I was. And I think we spent probably 3 hours on the phone.
Well, thankfully, she gave you her personal number so that you can reach out.
Yeah,
Obviously, you needed that help. You needed to reach out, and thankfully, you're still here with us right now. That is a blessing.
I
I
realized I can do a lot more here. It took
it
me a while to realize, but there's always another option. Even though I was in one of the worst spots ever, there was one person around willing to give me that life preserver. And so that kind of gave me the push more towards being active in the mental health side of this career. I don't want to see anyone else in that spot that I was in.
Yeah, definitely not. Um,
Yeah,
were you giving any tools or anything to utilize when you get into that state, feeling hopeless or, that oppressive state to where you're feeling that pain?
I was. I'm a fixer. That's what a lot of us are in EMS. And when we can't fix things and when it affects us the most. And she reminded me that I'm still here and I can still fix my issues. I have avenues. One of the things that it sucks, but really helps me to understand is visualizing it and replaying it and then telling myself that there is nothing I could do. I did everything that I was trained and that was within my ability. It's trying to remember that and not let those why questions wear you down.
So I have a question for you. What do you think impacted you the most job? Was it losing your friends to suicide or the accident, or was it the compounding traumas of the job, or a little bit of both?
Pretty much all of it. It was a mixture. I mean, having to deal with someone else's loss when I'm there working and then having my own on top of it, not knowing what to do, it really weighs.
It's a heavy weight to carry.
It is, but I've come to realize that I'm not the only one, and this isn't the it shouldn't be the good old boy mentality anymore. It's okay to not be okay, is what I have to remember. And I'm learning. I have coworkers and friends all over in this field that went through basically the same thing that I went through. And their strength about talking about it helps give me the ability to. And we kind of lean on each other.
It makes it safe for you to come out and be able to talk about your issues and problems and the things that you see and how it affects you with people who can relate to you.
Definitely. I can go home and try to talk to my family members, but they don't really understand. Whereas I can go call up a coworker or a friend now, and they're like, hey, I've been there. When I first started 10 years ago, it was shit happens, move on. And now it's getting a little more towards, all right, so that's an issue. Let's try to work on it.
An interesting aspect of that job, I've spoke with a lot of firefighters and EMS and law enforcement. And one of our EMS guests had told me that early on he had suffered a lot of the same traumas that you did. And when he had realized that there was a veteran who'd been there for years suffering from the same things, and even though it was the good old boy days and you just were supposed to get over it, they were all still suffering in silence. That's pretty sad, fortunately.
It is. And I actually just recently had a conversation about that with a couple of my friends. That's the era that they were brought up in. They're looking and seeing the new pair of pups coming up and being a little more vocal. They're still kind of gun shy, I've come to find out. The two that gave me the push, when I first started, they were veterans in this field. One of them actually started EMS when it was ran out of a funeral home out here. We make the joke she raised half the paramedics in Western North Carolina.
She's mom.
She is mom. We have matching tattoos.
Oh, wow.
But those two came to me and realizing the same situation, they had been suffering in silence too. And they were willing to open up and tell me, hey, there's something wrong. We got to fix it. Them seeing me go do it, giving me that push, actually helped give them a little more of a push too to get some help as well. They helped a lot of us realize that the good old boy mentality that they came up in, it needs to go by the wayside.
We will return after this quick ad break.
The William H. Bill Butler Jr. Foundation is on a mission to honor first responders and support those who serve. We provide scholarships for families who have lost a hero in the line of duty, offer second chances to juvenile offenders who are working to rebuild their future, and help new recruits pursuing careers as first responders. Through generous donations and the sale of merchandise, we're building a community that uplifts, empowers, and creates lasting impact. You can be a part of this mission as well. Visit 8158podcast.com to donate or shop today. Together, we can support those who serve, honor those we've lost, and give hope to those who need it most. Behind every badge is a story, and behind every story is a sacrifice. This is the 8158 podcast, where we honor the lives and legacies of first responders and their families. If our mission speaks to your heart, if these stories move you like they move us, join us on Patreon. For just $5 a month, you'll get ad-free listening, exclusive merchandise, behind-the-scenes content, and video episodes only available to our patrons. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement, and you can be a part of it. Support us at patreon.com/8158podcast. Let's continue to share the stories that deserve to be heard.
That's the stigma of that job and that profession, and that goes
Oh yeah.
along
Oh
with
yeah.
the fire and the law enforcement and dispatch. The stigma is so embedded that a lot of first responders are very afraid to step forward and speak out about their mental.
It is, and that's what costs us to lose too many. I went to a conference 2 years ago, and they brought the EMS Wall of Remembrance to the conference, and it was literally probably 5 marble slabs that stood 6 feet tall and had several names carved into them that shouldn't be there and that are there because they felt that there was nowhere to go.
They all had taken.
Several of them have. Yeah, yeah.
It's heartbreaking, and it shouldn't happen. And that's kind of
No.
like why we're doing the podcast the way we're doing the podcast, is so that we can get the word out and try to fight against the stigma and put it out there. And I know there's a lot of podcasts that are, in the same direction, but we're going to join that, and we're going to continue to fight against that stigma because our first responders mean so much to us. You guys are there for us when we need you the most. So it's time for us as a community to stand up and be there for you guys when you need us the most.
Yeah, and it is hard. EMS is still a new
Well,
area. I make the running joke, we're the redheaded stepchildren of healthcare.
I've heard that before.
We're there, like you said, in someone's darkest hour. Who's there for us? And that's what we've got to fix. The stigmatism that's given with this, it shouldn't be looked at negatively. Way too often, it gets brushed off. We're given talks like, call the employee helpline. What are they going to do? They don't know how to deal with the fact that I just did CPR on a 2-year-old and had to tell mom and dad they're gone. Have you done that? No. I just rolled up on my best friend's wreck and literally had to watch them put in a body bag. How do you do that? Going to a place like where I go, the facility, the therapist that I speak to, having them specifically trained for this makes a world of difference. And they understand that there's a stigmatism. Like, they will literally stagger appointments so no one sees someone else in the waiting room because they want you to be comfortable. They want you to know that you're safe. We need more places like it. Unfortunately, there's not many.
One of the things that we do on this podcast is we have reached out to psychologists and therapists who are trauma informed. And the majority of the ones that we have talked to are former first responders. And they went to that side of it because they knew there was a need. They knew that there was a need for that help. We've linked up with two organizations that are for free for people who need. One of them was healingthehero.org, and his name is Dan Jarvis. And another one was Ramses Yabata. He runs QRF Up, and it is based for military veterans and first responders. And that one is actually an app. And if you click on the app, they have therapists who are trauma informed and will talk to you. And they can find out where you are, what's going on, and send help immediately. So that's kind of like how why we do the podcast. We speak to our first responders, we get to know them, and we figure out ways of linking them to help. How can we help you guys? It's not just about talk. It's not just
Yeah.
about allowing you to talk. It's about how can we provide the assistance? Because we're not super rich.
No.
We just
Yeah.
started this in our house. So how can we come across all of these people to link them up for help? And that's kind of like our action. That's our call to action, is to linking our first responders up to help.
And that's amazing because you don't see that. Like you said, you're doing it because you see there's a need. You truly want to help us. You want to bring awareness to it. And what you're doing is one of the best ways I think you can with your guys' podcast, talking to other first responders and getting them linked up with stuff like that with that app. That is amazing. I can't tell you the amount of times I've been at work or on a scene where something like that would have been awesome to have, especially when you try to lay down. My part of it is I'm learning how to deal with it better. Every day is a struggle, but I've actually gone on to our peer support team out here. That way I can be there for the person that was in my shoes, make sure they're not overlooked and not brushed over.
Exactly. You're talking about peer support. That's one of the things that QRF, they are looking for more volunteers to help them because they want to spread out. They want more help around the country. So if there's anybody that or you personally want to help a first responder or a veteran and volunteer a peer support network, you can contact QRF and they will talk to you and tell you exactly what's expected. It is all for free. It's not a paid gig at all. They don't get paid for it, but the therapists that actually join the app are either in like Harvard or all that, the fancy schools, the brainiacs of all that
Yeah,
stuff. And
yeah,
then the peer support are our, military veterans, first responders, people have lived through the things that you guys have lived through. And somebody like you, I think would be a very perfect fit for that because you have been through the fire and you could help so many lives. I mean, yeah, we all need therapy. I see a
yeah,
therapist.
yeah,
I take medications. I have severe panic attacks and none of us are impervious to having mental health issues. And we may seem normal on the outside, right? I seem like a
yeah,
normal
yeah,
guy, but there's always an underlining factor involved, right? But I think you would be a perfect fit. I mean, if you wanted to, you could reach out to QRF Up. You can download the app and you can go to talk to Ramses and see if you can get involved with them. I don't know where exactly are you in the country.
So I'm
So
in
I'm in
Western North
Western North
Carolina
Carolina. Okay.
in a
In
small
a
town
small
called
town called
Silva,
Silva,
right
right
by
by
Western
Western
Carolina
Carolina
University,
University,
where I
where
actually
I
go to
actually
school.
go to school. Okay. So you're going to school for,
I'm finishing my pre-med and EMS. I actually finished this summer.
so you're trying to broaden your horizons to something beyond the EMS world? Are you trying to go into getting a doctorate or anything like that, or you just want to become a flight medic? What's your desire?
So no flight medic. My big butt is better on the ground. No, I was going to apply to PA school for a specialty in trauma and pediatrics, but I've recently actually started teaching at the local community college as well. Oddly enough, I really enjoy it. And the mental health aspect of schooling is something I emphasize really big on. My students will tell you I spent half the class time harping on them about it. Probably put them to sleep, but you know, so the thought of going into EMS education has actually occurred to me.
That is a huge, huge step for you and a very huge asset to all of the new recruits that are getting into that field because now you have the knowledge of firsthand experience from the job and also firsthand experience from the trauma of the job and teaching them about that because that's not what they taught you. They didn't teach you anything about the trauma,
No,
but now you have the opportunity to bring it up and say, I want to sit you down. I want you to be aware that this is going to happen. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You will be affected no matter the
yeah,
situation.
I want to give them the tools that I wasn't given. And so this is, for me, one of the best ways that I can think of doing it. This is our future. The older medics, like we talked about, that are stuck in the good old boy mentality where they push things down. Hopefully, the new ones coming up showing that it's okay to admit that you're struggling, that you're having problems. You're not alone in it. I can pick up my phone right now and probably dial 50 numbers. Half of them older medics pushing 30, 40 years in this career. The other half less than 5. And all 50 will be willing to help you and open up because it's situations like this. Being informed and getting the knowledge and knowing that they're no longer alone.
Yeah, it's definitely tough when you feel like you're alone and you're the only one. But now you know that you're not the only one. And you're not the first one that have told us the same kind of story, the same issues, the same mental health traumas that first responders go through. And it doesn't matter whether you're EMS, fire, law enforcement, dispatcher, whatever, all of you share the same commonality of trauma.
Yes. We know we have the thin lines. You have the thin white line, thin red, thin blue. We're all in the same thing together. It doesn't matter if the color's red, blue, white, yellow, green, whatever. We all deal with the same thing. We deal with it on different aspects, but we're there. There's no reason for there to be a separation or any divide.
Come together, help each other out. It's very important. And I mean, I think what you're doing right now, it just blows my mind because I think that's so freaking awesome. It really is because now, these younger generations who are getting into the field are going to have firsthand knowledge of what to expect from this line of work. Not just from the medical aspect of it, but from the mental health aspect.
Yeah, it's something that wasn't touched on when I was in school. They prepare us for everything else: how to fix an overdose, how to bring someone back from cardiac arrest. They even teach you how to deal with certain psychiatric patients. They don't tell you or teach you how to deal with your own issues.
Which is the most important issue
Yeah.
because you have to deal with yourself at home when your thoughts, when you're by yourself and your thoughts are running crazy. Your mind
Oh,
is
yeah.
just
And the biggest thing that lacks is a check in. I'm expected to go from working the worst car wreck I've ever seen to going and putting a band aid on a 5-year-old who scraped their knee in probably less than 20 minutes of each other. There's no time to process.
and especially when you're dealing with a child and you're going from a traumatic situation to dealing with a child, you got to put on a happy face, like a different persona, because you don't want them to be affected by what you just saw 20 minutes
Oh,
ago.
yeah. Oh, yeah. You ask anyone in this field, fire, law, EMS, your kryptonite's going to be a child. They will call you out quicker than shit. Like, you can't lie to them. You can't walk in with a stone face and you can't tower above them. They will call you out or they will just flat out run from you. Oddly enough, I love working with kids. That's why I want to do the peds thing.
That is amazing. I definitely appreciate the work that you do. You've done it long enough. I really want to see your growth in teaching. I want to see that and see how your students are doing.
I'm actually really excited about it. I have a group fixing to graduate here soon. They are amazing. I've been with them since their first day of paramedic school. Some of them went through their advanced EMT with me and getting to watch them progress. And the county that I work in now, not only do I get to teach them in the classroom, I get to work with them on a truck when they come in clinical.
Wow.
So I'm getting to see them put it all together. Like, oh, you did actually listen to me. Yeah. So it's really cool.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I would like to have you back on here so we can talk about your students and how they have succeeded in that and from your teaching, and also not just from the teaching, but what they've taken away from you with the mental health portion of that. That would be amazing because that would be a
Definitely.
testament to what is going on and how to make that change, how to change that stigma.
It's a lot of work, but seeing it come to fruition with the students and stuff, it's awesome. I've had some that have had some rough calls and they're not afraid to come up to me and be like, hey, this is what happened. How can I deal with it? Let's sit down and talk. And that right there, the fact that they're willing to do that while they're in school, that's a milestone.
That says a lot. That's
Yeah.
that says a lot. Well, you're definitely doing a very special job in that aspect. Now, is there anything else you would like to share with us? Do you have anything that, any socials or anything that you're on or anything like that that you would like to share with us on the podcast so they
So
can get that out there for you?
I'm on TikTok, much like a lot of EMS content creators. A lot of my stuff is educational, but you can find me, Feral Medic 911, and several other first responders, law enforcement, EMS, fire. We're on there almost nightly doing education or talking about the mental health aspect of this job. And I'm talking everyone from New York to Texas to California. All of us come together with that commonality. I've made such an amazing group of friends, and we're all there for the same reason. So if you find myself, or I'll shamelessly plug Mary the Moody Paramedic, Paramedic Anthony, Nightmare Medic, Rusty, Sarah, we're all on there. We're all there to help. We have all gone through what everyone went through. They're not alone. We're only just a click away. Some of us just a phone call. Some of us maybe 5 minutes from you, and you don't even know it. But we're there. You're not alone.
Not alone. And there are people out there that are willing.
Definitely. And just like the app you told me about, sign me up in a heartbeat.
You can actually, I don't know what kind of browser you use. Do you have an iPhone or,
Mhm.
okay. So if you go into the App Store, let me take a screenshot of this app. It's called QRF Up. QRF is in caps. Up is lowercase. A screenshot of that again. Take a screenshot of it so I can show you what it looks like. Blow it up.
Got it.
That click onto that app. This will come up. Go into there. The technology. I tell you what. Yeah, if you click on there, it should come up with a circle. The circle comes up and it kind of gives you a lining of question. Yeah, you enter your phone number and verify your phone number. You got to put in a code, name. That normally it just comes up with the regular app. So if you bring up that app, it should show you what it looks like.
Oh, yeah. I'm halfway done filling it out now.
He's like, I'm already doing this right now.
This is something that's really important to me. I want to be there like no one was for me. I want to be there to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Right.
I've lost too much. I've lost too many friends. I don't want to see someone else go through it.
That's pretty awesome. So you're trying to sign up to be a peer support help on that?
Yes.
Well, that's outstanding. Look at you go.
Like
Yeah. I love it. I love it. That is awesome.
I said, I'm halfway through it right now.
Right on. Right on. Yeah. Rabs is he's a pretty good guy. He's a former Marine, a combat veteran, and he started QRF Up, and he knows that a lot of first responders need help.
Good to hear you're okay.
The volume apparently was not down on it.
Yeah, it's good to hear that you're okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're okay too. That's funny. All right,
The
buddy.
awesome thing is you gave me that, and I can take it back to my team as well, at peer support, and be like, hey,
Yeah.
here's another tool for us to use.
Exactly, and that was kind of like the point that I was kind of leaving out with you, is you could take that back and share that. There's another piece, another tool, something else that you can grasp at to get help. So you guys know you're not alone. There's always somebody out there. And that's kind of like what we're doing here on the podcast, is we're reaching out to not just first responders, and we see a need, we see help, so we reach out to other avenues so that we can connect you with those avenues.
Definitely. And I will tell you right now, if there's any in North Carolina or even out of state, an amazing resource is Responder Support Services. That's where I go. They are specifically trained for us, and they'll do virtual appointments.
So you're in North Carolina.
Mhm.
We were just there not too long ago.
The Wellness Summit, I was on shift, unfortunately,
Yes, my wife
but
and
I will be there in May.
we won't be there in May.
Okay. Well, there's 2 other ones showing up after that I will be there too.
Yeah, we did meet up with quite a bit of people. We saw Salty Paramedic and we saw Paramedic AF, and I talked to him and I shook his hand and thanked him for everything he's done, and we follow him. And also with Brad, I talked to Brad, and it was pretty awesome. It was amazing.
I'm severely jealous right now. I wanted to go so bad.
So, all the amazing people out there and the panels and we met some amazing people. We were at this like bar restaurant, and the tables were at least, I don't know, 50 feet, maybe less, I don't know, 20 feet or so, because the bar kind of stretches. This is downtown Wilmington.
Yeah.
This kind of stretches, and it's like this little narrow table, and it was just lined up with first responders, fire, EMS, police, everybody, and we were all having dinner together, and it was just amazing. And we all kind of got together and took a picture on the stairs.
And all of them there for the same reason.
Yeah, we were all there for the summit.
Yeah. That's awesome.
You missed out, man.
Listen, I was getting photos from the Blakery, Andrea, all of them. I was like, that's not fair.
Yep, I met Nurse Andrea Law. We talked with
She's
her.
from my original hometown.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we met with her, and we talked to her, and we talked to Chris, and a lot of great people. Issa, I don't know if you know Issa.
Me and Issa are actually gonna do the Florida conference together.
Oh, amazing. Yes, she stayed with us
Yeah.
in the Airbnb, because we had a 2-bedroom Airbnb, and she stayed with us there, and it was awesome. Issa is a DJ on our radio station, because we
Oh,
have
wow. That's awesome.
yeah, it's pretty awesome. And we're also, my wife and I are DJs on the Thin Line Rock station. I don't know if you heard of that. It's a first responder rock station that is all primarily first responders.
Oh, that's awesome.
And interestingly enough, when we went to the conference, we ended up coming back with a bunch of DJs for our radio station, which are first responders.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, it's amazing. It is amazing, I tell you.
It is, and I appreciate what you guys are doing.
Yeah. And we figured, we'd invite other first responders on the station, because we want to give you guys another outlet, something to take your mind off of, the day-to-day thing. When you get home and you're trying to unwind, oh, I got to do this station. And then I got to think about the nostalgia and other things, like, going back to the past. And because our radio station is based on Gen X to millennial. And so we play everything from the 70s to 2010.
That is awesome. As an 80s model, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I'm Gen X. I was born in '77, so I came out the same. I came out two. I was born 2 months after Star Wars was produced.
Wow.
Yes. So yeah, I'm huge on the '70s and '80s, grunge, all that stuff, even the R&B, all that stuff. I do Friday nights, like mine is over now, but I do a Friday night slow jams from midnight, or no, from 10 to midnight, and from on Saturday 10 to midnight. And then on Fridays I do the Rico's Rock Headlock Unhinged on our radio station, which is slightly unhinged radio. And then I do 2 weeks, 4-hour sessions for uh, Thin Line Rock Station, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8 to noon, both days. And that's Rico's Rock Headlock, which I get very
That's
loud
awesome.
and very.
I'm here for it. There's a reason they call me feral.
Exactly. We are the feral ones.
Yes.
We are the feral ones.
Yep.
Exactly right. And yeah, so, and also, my wife and I were talking to a guy up in Canada right now. I don't know how we're going to pull this off, but he wants us to do a 5-day-a-week morning show for Ontario,
Oh, wow.
4 hours a piece.
Well,
Working a full-time job. I don't know how we're going to do this, but we're going to make it happen. We're going to do it.
caffeine and prayer.
Yes, lots of caffeine. Oh my gosh. That's pretty awesome. But yeah, it was definitely a pleasure talking with you. To me, it's a great honor to be sharing the space with you. And I know that's one of Erin Jane's sayings. She's on the Thin Line Rock Station as well. That's one of her sayings, is sharing space with you.
Yeah.
It is an honor to be able to share the same room with you. and to talk with you because what you guys do, you guys and gals, what you do is amazing. It is hard. It is not easy, and I do not discredit it one bit. I do not envy you, but yet we love you guys, 100%.
I appreciate it. Yeah, they say the average span for a paramedic or EMS career is 5 years. I've surpassed that, thankfully.
You've doubled that,
Yeah,
and hopefully, with your teaching, you can make it longer because you can help
that's
them
the
to,
goal.
yeah, kind of deal with the traumas. That is amazing. That is amazing, and hopefully, none of them. Hopefully, you have 100% success rate and zero suicides. Zero.
I would love to see that.
That would be amazing.
Yeah,
I would love to see that too. You know, when my wife it convinced me to do the podcast, it was kind of like I didn't want to do it. Not because I didn't want to do it, but because I was not the kind of person that would step out of his comfort zone to do something like this. However, it had open doors and it was one spark, one situation that had lit a fire in me, and that was losing my cousin. And it wasn't to suicide. He had lost his life in the line of duty by backing up other deputies because they were in danger, and he showed up, saved their lives by giving his own life. And we quickly realized after doing the podcast that we heard a lot of the same stories about the mental health aspect of it. And knowing my cousin, because he was so loving and caring about first responders and his community, that's something that he wanted us to focus on. So, in his memory and his likeness, that's why we are doing what we're doing. That's what gave us the idea. That's what drove us. That's what's giving us the spark. And now, even more so, now that we see it, we can feel it because I'm sort of an empath. I can feel the energy. So it drives me even more to want to do it more and more. It's just, and it's snowballed. It's totally snowballed into other things. So many other things. I do have an off duty session with 8158 podcast. We do an off duty. And just to kind of let you know that 8158 was his badge number and he
that's
was
awesome.
in Hillsdale County, Michigan. That's what that stands for. I always tell everybody because a lot of times a lot of people don't listen. And so I have to remind people that that's what that stands for. It has real meaning. It's not just a number. That was my cousin, Bill Butler Jr., 58. And the 81 is Hillsdale County. 58 was his badge number.
That's amazing. I'm extremely appreciative of this and what you guys are doing. Any way, shape, or form that I can help y'all with it, you just message me.
Absolutely. I'm sure we'll keep in touch. Brienne will let you know when this airs. But I would hopefully like to meet you someday at one of the conferences if we can ever make it at the same time.
Definitely. Like I said, I will be in Charleston, and then I believe they're possibly doing one in Asheville and Greenville.
Yes. Asheville, I think, is in October. And unfortunately, we won't be going to that one because we have obligations to the Legion here in Perryville, Kentucky. And they're doing a relay for life. So we agreed to show up and be on the panel for that and to broadcast the relay for life. And there's going to be other first responders like the sheriff and all kinds of important people will be there. So we told them we would be there to show our support.
Good deal.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. It's good PR. It's good to network and get to know people. And like I told Brianne, we need to get more local people too. We know a lot of people outside of the state. Now we need to get to
Yeah,
know more
yeah.
people in the state.
Yep, most definitely.
But I really appreciate you coming on here. It's been a blessing. I love you, brother. You're amazing. Keep doing what you're doing, and I want to see your students succeed to the fullest. You are the
You and me
man.
both.
You are the man.
I'm
I love
excited
it.
about it.
Yeah, I love it. That is awesome. That is a privilege. That is a huge privilege.
It is shaping the next generation.
Exactly. You can see their progress. Wow. I couldn't even imagine. I really couldn't imagine. Anyhow, that's all I have for you today. I really thank you for coming on here and sharing your story and telling us the most intimate details and just giving us the raw deal and the raw aspect of what you've gone through and the reality of being a first responder. That's important.
If I can help just one person with it, then I'd do it as many times as it takes.
Absolutely. And we'll be right here with you to share your story and many others.
I appreciate it.
So, because this is season 3, since we started the 1st of January of 25, we're on season 3, and we've got
That's
over
amazing.
100 something episodes. So
Wow.
yeah, it's crazy. So that's how dedicated we are. We are extremely dedicated, and we want to help out as much as we can. But anyhow, thank you once again for coming and showing your love and respect and coming onto the show, and for showing your vulnerable side, because I know it's hard. I know it's tough, but it shows a lot of strength and courage by doing so.
It does. Thank you.
Again, that's all I have for you. I do have another meeting here shortly, so I do have to cut this one short, or else I'd be on here talking today for days, which is kind of funny
You're good.
because I don't like to talk to people.
You're completely fine.
I used to be a very quiet, shy person growing up, and I didn't like to talk to people. And now all of a sudden, I'm just like, "Blah, blah, 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 blah."
Yeah.
All right, brother. This is
All right.
Paramedic 911. You can see him on TikTok. Follow him. And if you need any guidance, you can always reach out to him on TikTok and any other socials that he might have. So this is 8158 Podcast, Stories of Sacrifice. We love you all. And stay safe and just keep on keeping on. I was at a loss for words for a second. It's okay, though. It's all right. It's my podcast. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm waiting for your podcast to come out. That'd be pretty awesome.
Oh Lord.
Here I am.
Listen, I just started getting into all this stuff.
He's like, I don't know about that. All right, buddy. I'm going to let you go. I know you got a lot
Alrighty.
going on, so I will go ahead and let you off here so you can get back to your business.
All right. You guys have a good night, and thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And don't forget to download the Thin Line Rock Station. That is for free. And also Slightly Unhinged Radio. That is for free. And you can listen for free, download for free. And we all of the DJs are volunteers, including us, the station managers, everybody, even on the Thin Line Rock Station. It's the same thing. We
Good
pay
deal.
for all this stuff out of our own pocket. So it's for entertaining people and interaction. And we also have merch too. On our station, we have merch for all the DJs. And on the Thin Line Rock Station, they have merch for all the DJs on that station as well.
Say less, take my money.
Yeah, you can go to slightlyunhingedradio.com and see all of our DJs. I don't know if you know EMS Barbie. She is one of our newer DJs that will be coming out soon.
That is my little sister.
Yes. We love her very much. We do. We love her very much. Like I said, most of our DJs are first responders, which is amazing.
That's awesome.
Slightly Unhinged Radio. Yeah, I think she's going to be coming out on Friday. Not this Friday, but the following Friday.
Done.
So you can listen to her. You have to reach out to her because she's excited about it. And she's going to have more merch. I noticed she had merch come out, and she's going to have more merch with her show name on it.
That is awesome. I cannot wait.
Yeah. So All right, brother. Better go. I can't
Yeah,
go on.
yeah. All right, bud. You have a good one.
You too.
Thank you for joining us on 8158 Stories of Sacrifice. Every story we share is a tribute to the courage and resilience of first responders and their families. If this episode impacted, encouraged, or inspired you, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with someone who supports first responders. Follow us on all social media platforms at 8158 Podcast for updates. 8158 Stories of Sacrifice is a team effort. Rico brings the stories to life through casting, writing, original music, and editing. Brianne Shipley as production manager, handling booking, social media, graphics, promotion, marketing, website management, and logo design. Please visit our website at 8158podcast.com. For questions, collaborations, or to share your story, our email address is contactus@8158podcast.com. Until next time, let's continue to honor the legacies and remember the sacrifices of those who serve, every brave man and woman on the front lines, protecting and defending us all. This is Rico signing off and honoring 8158.